sure.
Is music getting better or worse?
Are we talking about
Horse.
music in general or metal?
What this generally encompasses is
Contemporary.
more of the future of music that you're looking at from now. The music that you listen to, the music that you know best, you know, given, say, a band that is maybe your favorite band, what they've done, you know, or just music that you notice in the present. Is it getting better? Or is it, you know, declining? It's just a general array of music in the past few years and looking forward to the future.
I'm just gonna start with metal. What I think of that. I think metal is actually getting better in my eyes. There was if you watched our album of the year, honorable mention stuff. There was so much fucking music that came out this year that was great, and now you can argue that, well, most of the ideas are taken. And yeah, I mean, eventually you will run out of completely original ideas. But, you know, there's a lot of bands out there that keep pushing towards, you know, whether it's just by their sound or their style or whatever, that write fantastic music and in all the different genres. It's not just one, not just death metal, not just thrash, whatever. It's all the genres of metal that I think are getting better. However, at least in my eyes, I don't see a groundbreaking movement that will come along, such as, you know, when thrash metal started or, you know, when death metal took hold or something. I don't see that really happening. And if it does, I'm not even sure what it could be. So, you know, there's bands out there that, you know, have all different sorts of inspiration from other genres and just kind of blend them all together, and that's great. But I just don't see this movement, you know. Gent, you know, whatever, is more of just a, you know, little subgenre of, you know, progressive metal or metalcore or whatever. It's not a huge thing. I just don't know if that will happen, really. But I think moving forward, I think, you know, the future of metal is pretty bright. I mean, yeah, there's some really bad bands out there. You know, breakdowns are probably one of the worst things to ever really happen. At the same time, it's kind of a cool thing to happen to metal, you know what I mean? It's just the way that they're being used sometimes. It's just like, But, you know, I think one thing that's just awesome that makes the future of metal, and I feel that makes it getting better, is all these old bands from the 80s and 90s that are coming back and seriously fucking shit up and making great albums. And I think when I think of a band that came back and is making fantastic albums, I mean, they didn't really fully go away, but Overkill. I mean, Overkill's most recent stuff is phenomenal. And they've been doing it for such a long time, and, you know, they had their heyday in the 80s, and now they're back just kicking everybody's ass, or Testament, or, you know, Cannibal Corpse, or something. All the old bands that really helped pioneer a lot of stuff, how they're coming back, it's just awesome, and it makes me a happy person. That's my take on metal. Let's just discuss metal really quick. What do you think about metal?
I think the metal is getting better, but it's kind of at a slightly declining rate. It's reaching what's that math word? What's that fancy math word? That, you know, it starts to reach a spot, but never quite hits it. There's a special math word from like calculus that I don't remember. But like, it's kind of like it's never gonna bottom out. There's not gonna ever be like, oh, there's no new stuff happening. But it's, you know, it's getting less and less. The innovations that are happening now are less and less than what there were. I also think, in a way, it's not really that metal in general's getting a lot better. I think individual bands are getting much better with that, like, you know,
that is true.
You know,
Actually,
somebody's
that's a
like,
better way
oh,
of wording it.
somebody incorporates new stuff into their sound. Yeah, well, these people did that with their sound, but I mean, it's good. This band is better because they have the new stuff in their sound. But like, it's not like that idea has been done before. It just hasn't been put to that way, used by that band before.
I see what you're saying. That's probably a better way of putting it. You know, metal will be metal, but bands are getting better, so you feel like metal's getting better.
But like I said, it's
If
kind
you-
of like
if you know what I'm saying.
reaching a asymptote. That's the word I'm looking for. It's reaching a horizontal asymptote. It's never gonna it's never gonna get stagnant. It might get really close, and you'd be like, "Oh my god!" But it's not ever gonna get stagnant. I don't think. But I feel in some ways, and I'm citing a certain local label-ish thing that I'm not gonna name. That like it almost. In a lot of ways, sometimes scenes are very much pushed, and it's it seems that a lot of labels that that are just trying to the people who are responsible for trying to help bands create music are more looking for bands that fit the mold than bands that stand out. They want the safe bet instead of the band that, kind of revolutionizes a subgenre of metal, or, they want the band that has, the slightly more cool breakdowns instead of the band that breaks out from that and actually has riffs and stuff like that. So, and I mean, otherwise than that, I really Tyler hit a lot of what I think. I mean, like also a thing with individual bands, individual instrumentalists get better. The instrumentation, listening to, just the guitar work and the drum work on a lot of these new albums, it's better than, how, a lot of the drum work and whatnot used to be. But like, it's more, it's that getting better. It's not really everything as a whole getting better, but it's, but it is getting better, if any of that entire thing made sense. Not that it is getting better, but it's not like,
Oh, fuck.
wow, what the hell? Like, it's not like the invention of death metal here, or the introduction of metalcore here, where something was kind of big for a while. It's not like that. It's these small leaps and bounds that are being made right now, in my personal opinion.
Like technology.
Oh God, no. Oh yeah, but
Let's not talk about
no.
I feel that a lot of music is getting worse, but for the bands that are getting better, it so much as evens it out in a way. Just because the bands that are getting better are rare. There are more bands showing that music is getting worse, so much that it doesn't affect you as much. It's just a lot of gray. But then there are bands that are getting better that it just makes it seem like that's so much better because they stand out. They're these little red lines that they stand out so much that it makes it seem like a lot more than it really is. So I say it's about even. I mean, the bands that are getting worse, like these guys said, I think a lot of the Warped Tour crowd is getting
stale.
That's the perfect way to put it. I don't think it's getting worse. It's just it's getting stale because, well,
It's been done before. It's nothing.
It's
nothing new.
Yeah, it's just sitting there, and you're just waiting for the chips to get stale. No one's eating them. No one's throwing them out. They're just getting stale. And it's not like, oh man, these chips are so good, I want to keep eating them. No, they just sit there, and it's not like, oh man.
You might have one every once in a while, but like.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. Yeah, that's the perfect way to put it. It's getting stale.
There's no salsa there to dip them in.
Yeah, I mean, not to bash on the bands. Like, so far this year, I've seen The Ghost Inside and Stray from the Path getting on Warped Tour, and they're not bad. I like those bands. I like what Stray from the Path has to say, and what the Ghost Inside has to say, and their music to boot. But if you know what I'm talking about, a lot of the metalcore nowadays is just, it's not for me. So, I mean, I have to say that I can't think it's getting better. I mean, it's as worse as it'll ever be for me. It's not like I can say there's this huge decline, like, suddenly, somehow, it's getting worse. It's just, it's not getting worse, it's just staying the same. Deathcore, it's not getting better to me. There may be, I don't even know anymore. Oceana's last album didn't impress me. I Declare War hasn't put out anything in a while. They were one of my deathcore bands. All Shall Perish, I haven't listened to them in the longest time. Whitechapel, they are progressive. They are a number of things that I feel calling them deathcore is an understatement to what they do. I'm waiting for their next album now. They're a red line in an era, a sea of gray. Because it feels like some things just aren't changing. A lot of metalcore just seems to use the same thing over and over again. I guess that makes it makes me grow tired of it, but I can't say that it's getting worse. It's just staying the absolute same. Like -10 is still -10. It can't. It's not going to go below that, but -10 isn't good. So there are good bands out there that are 10s, and they just the rarity of those bands make it seem so much better. You know, the bands that come out there and they try new things, they keep it going. They do what, you know, what people like us, what we think common sense dictates. You know, this is cool, so you do this. You don't do the same thing over and over again. You do what's cool. You are creative and stuff. You keep it going, and those bands just seem to be so few anymore. At least in metal. I don't listen to a lot of death metal. But there are some bands that stick out to me, and there are a lot of death metal bands I could just not care less about, because there are cool death metal bands, and then there are death metal bands that are, you know, they're heavy and yeah, they're whatever, but I just don't care enough about them. And so it seems there are a few bands that are awesome, and they are getting better, like Keith said. And then there's just a sea of gray that's just never changing. So I don't think that music is getting worse. It's just some bands are getting better. And, you know, the amount of bands that are getting better, that are good, seems to be decreasing. So it seems to be a rarity, which just makes it that much more delicate and that much more noticeable when some band comes out there and does something awesome. So I can't say that music is getting worse. It's just, it's getting harder and harder to find good music.
There's one genre that I feel is getting worse. This is completely personal opinion. That's pop music. I just feel if someone put on pop music from the 80s or 90s, I'd be like, alright man, that's fine. That's cool. Not that I'll rush out and buy, you know, the albums from, you know, those pop artists, but now, today, I'm just like, oh my god, it just seems like literally the same fucking beat over and over again, and then someone's voice is perfected in a studio. It's just,
I agree.
I don't know, I just...
If you would have asked me, probably, even as short as, you know, 4 or 5 months ago, I probably would have, like, 100% agreed with that. But I'm kind of like, I do understand.
Not all of it.
There's a couple gems in there.
Yes.
Like there's songs and I'm like, and artists and I'm like, you know, they're pretty okay. I'll admit, you know, Katy Perry sometimes is alright. You know, that Robin Thicke song is catchy as hell. I'll listen to that. You know, there actually is like a Selena Gomez song and I'm like, oh, not bad. But it's the same thing that I was saying about the metal labels that are, you gotta fit the mold, but it's more not really their fault. It's just, I guess, the audience, you know. They want people that sound like this, you know. Lil Wayne came around, and now I can't tell who's on the radio because they all sound exactly like him. You know, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's all bad. There's a couple artists that stick out to me, you know, like Eminem, or I somewhat dig Imagine Dragons or something. But I feel like there's a couple of gems that stick out in a nice pile of turds. That's just how I feel about it.
The occasional piece of corn that doesn't get digested.
I mainly feel that there, at least when I listen to the radio, which I've been trying to do more, just to see, you know, just to open my mind to whatever's on the radio now. And, there are still the Justin Timberlakes and Imagine Dragons, like Tyler said, has been pretty big for a while now. I know Robin Thicke. Katy Perry is, you know, I like Katy Perry. I can truly say that I like Katy Perry. Beyonce is pretty cool. I don't give a fuck what you say. Beyonce is pretty cool. She does it like no one else does it. But what?
It's okay.
What?
It's okay.
I just made it your mom joke.
Keep going.
Oh. But I feel like there are so many artists that are coming around that I've never heard of. Like, I listened to the radio a while ago, a couple of years ago, and I just kind of stopped. And, you know, I got all teenager, yeah, I'm going to listen to Whitechapel and screw the radio, man, and Rage Against the Machine, and, you know, I just, well, I'm not saying that was me. I just never had time for the radio. I didn't care what was on the radio. And then I come back to the radio, and I'm like, okay, the new song, what is that, Alicia Keys? What? No, Jordan Sparks? You know, who is that? And then they're like, oh, this was, I don't know, Jimmy. That's not a female name, but they sound like that. I'm like, I don't even know this person. And I feel like there are so many one-hit wonders that just come and go, and I do not care about them. I mean, their songs may be, it's just the one-hit wonders of what people want to hear.
It's like back in the day, I feel like in the 80s and 90s or something, you could have 10 years of fame. Now you could be like Rebecca Black,
have
like a 1 week of fame, or one fucking day or whatever. You know?
I think it's all about what is viewed as important. You know, the radio really came into like importance in like the 80s, 90s, and especially now in like 2000s. Whereas back in the day, you had to write. You wanted the albums to do good, so you had to write a good album. Now it's kind of like, I feel, because I've actually sat down and, as part of an experiment I did once which was going to be a video which never got released for Because We Care, where I listened to, I forget, it was some popular album, and it's like, you could tell that the singles were actually really well written, but everything else was just kind of there. Like, you're writing songs, and you're like, these are the good songs, and then I'm just gonna put in filler for the rest of the album. That's what I feel like is what's done. You want the songs that people are gonna know, and then the rest of it nobody cares about.
That'll make the money.
Kind of something funny I thought about that. Name one song off of Robin Thicke's album aside of Blurred Lines.
It's not gonna happen.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, I feel that there are some may or may not be as talented and as purely creative as a lot of the music that we may like post-rock, I think, is absolutely awesome. Progressive metal, there are cool death metal, metalcore bands out there that, you know, even thrash metal, that they put their heart and soul into it. I feel it may not be as creative as that, but there are some good pop artists, I think. And it's kind of hard to say a good pop artist and not a good pop song anymore. And I feel that's one thing that's you know.
This is another note that I saw. I've seen this picture all over the internet. It's really funny. It's a picture of Freddie Mercury and a picture of Beyonce. And it's Beyonce, 2 writers, 6 producers, and it has lyrics to the song Single Ladies. You know, boom. Which is, you know, fairly repetitive, you know. It's a catchy song, I'll give it that, but it's fairly repetitive. And that's Freddie Mercury, and it says 1 writer, 1 producer, Bohemian Rhapsody, very deep lyrics, and barely any repetition except for like a chorus, but even then it's a really deep, complex song, and I'm like, that's why music, at least pop music, is going downhill.
That's one thing I was looking at. I looked up some album before. I'm like, what the hell? How does this album have like 6, 8, 10 producers? I'm listening to freaking, I don't know, whatever metal band. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the guy that produces a lot of things. One guy. I'm like, how the hell you have 10 producers, like 5 writers in one song?
It really doesn't, in my mind, doesn't sound that much better.
Yeah, how does it take 5 people to write one song?
It's like they go together, they come up with the beats and stuff like that, especially for like rap. The producers
One
write the
person
beats.
can do
so
that.
much to come up with a fucking 4/4 beat.
Yep.
Yeah.
For 3.5 minutes. I feel this kind of same way with modern rock music. Now there are some bands that stick out to me. Alter Bridge, Chevelle,
Shinedown.
really, yeah. I mean, Shinedown's alright.
I like
You know, there's some bands that stick out, but then there's so many bands when I turn on 98 Rock or 105.7 or whatever that I'm just like, who the fuck is this? And this song will sound just like this one. Will have a hard ass trying to be a hard ass, fucking front man.
Yeah.
It'll have the same chord progression as Woody Fuckface over here, and it's just. I feel that for the most part, modern rock is becoming stale, and besides your few bands, and then you have your huge bands like Five Finger Death Punch, and Avenged Sevenfold, and Disturbed that kind of even them have become a little bit stale, and it's kind of a shame because most of these bands start out with really good debut albums or something. Actually, the whole album's actually not that bad, but then they just get famous and turn to turds. But then there's a lot of bands that come out that I'm just like, I'm sorry, dog, but you're not going to fucking go anywhere. There's nobody that's willing to try to break that mold that radio rock is.
That's the one genre I can truly say that I feel is getting worse because
It
of
is.
that. I mean, it's like, yeah, like Tyler said, there are a couple of cool bands out there and stuff, but I mean, aside of the established bands, all of which aren't even all that, there are a couple of modern rock established bands that I could say, you know what, you can take your stuff and leave. But there are, like again, like Tyler said, every band that comes on the radio, like, fucking Pop Evil.
Yeah, like,
I don't even know any of their songs. I just know their name. I know they're a rock band.
yeah,
Trenches.
like
That's what
Pop Evil or Art of Dying or
They come and go. And
Adelita's Way. I mean, I just
Yeah.
feel like 10 years from now, you're going to be like, who the fuck was that? I mean,
But
it's seriously...
yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of the same thing. That's how every rock, radio rock era's kind of been. Even the '90s. The '90s is notorious for having one-hit wonders in rock and roll and everything. But my thing with it is, I think it's kind of the same thing with the pop. They want to be, again, they don't want to break out of the mold. They don't want to. They want to be hard. They want to be, like all the old school stuff, but they want to get that notoriety. So, again, a couple things with bands that very few. I mean, that are big now, but nobody's gonna care about. I know one song by the Virgin Marys. That's it. It's a Dead Man's Shoes. It's the only one that's actually kind of catchy to me. Like, I don't know. Again, radio rock. It's the whole. I feel some bands write really good albums, but they're afraid to break out. Whenever we talk about Five Finger Death Punch and Avenged Sevenfold, some of their songs, the songs that are good on a lot of their more recent albums are pretty good, but like the mix is weird because they want to make it radio friendly. They could have such a harder punching mix that would fit the song so much better. And you'll get bands, I kind of like a couple songs by Shinedown. I think Shinedown's alright. I think, there's all kinds of bands, and there's even the bands that have kind of gone downhill and have kind of become the radio rock bands. You know, you're in this moment. You're I mean, I guess Disturbed kind of always was there, but really now, like Disturbed, you're.
Well, I mean, Disturbed came out; they were completely different,
And now
they just got to.
You know, again, you're Avenged Sevenfold, your Five Finger Death Punch, it's another band that's kind of started off really cool and they've just really your Bullet for My Valentine. You know, it's
All That Remains.
You know, your bands like they sacrifice musical integrity for the fame, which I think is the worst thing. So I mean, again, I'll say that radio rock is stagnant. There's not that band that kind of comes around and changes everything. Kind of like when Appetite for Destruction came out, that changed everything for rock and roll back in the 80s. You know, when Nirvana came out, that changed everything for rock and roll in the 90s. You know,
when Creed came out.
Yeah. When Zeppelin came around, that completely changed rock and roll forever. You know, there hasn't been that. There's just been a bunch of Joe Schmoes on the radio, and, you know, nobody's gonna remember Joe Schmo.
What was I gonna say now? I know there's something I wanted to say. The thing that bothers me most about these radio rock bands, it's cool if they want to admit that they're all radio rock. If you're on the radio, you can admit it and everything. The thing that bothers me is they still want to act like they have this reputation, like they are, like Five Finger Death Punch wants to act like they have this reputation of being a metal band or something. When you could take any metal band, just about any good metal band, Killswitch Engage, I don't know, freaking Trivium still, and they would just blow Five Finger Death Punch out of the water in the area of metal. And how people, I guess bands like Avenged Sevenfold sort of have this metal sort of side to them. I don't think they're metal. They just need to admit that they're radio rock. And, I mean, there's nothing to it. These bands still seem to have this, like, sort of pride that, you know, like, yeah, we're rough rock and, you know, we're badasses and stuff. And I just don't like the whole attitude that goes on with radio rock. And I feel like that's, you know, sending a lot of bands downhill. Where they just can't admit it.
At least pop. They're like, yeah, they're kind of more out there saying, you know, we do it for the fans, you know, kind of things like that.
Yeah, I mean, they don't even have to say, like, oh, we make the music. I mean, they don't make the music. All you have to do is say, I'm a good singer, and you're a pop star. But, I mean, all these rock bands are like, yeah, we wrote some heavy stuff, and it's not heavy. It's radio rock, and you're going to be on the radio for, like, a month, maybe, and then you're done. And then, you know, it's like, I can't even think of a bunch. Hold on a minute. Pop Evil. Oh, you have any rock things here? I can't even think of any rock bands.
3 Days Grace.
3 Days Grace is cool, but they're done now.
They're done.
Yeah.
Flyleaf. I can come up with a bunch.
I feel I can't even come up with most of the ones that I'm trying to think of. Tyler said Adelita's Way. I would have forgotten about them.
Who? I don't.
I mean, Seven Dust is still okay, but
yeah, Seven Dust is fucking heavy.
It's just, you know,
there's the ones that stick out in my mind, like Godsmack.
Yeah, there's the gems who've like managed to do their thing.
There's one more thing that at least I want to bring up. That I think is the thing that definitely gotten worse about music. So that is physical media is not really what it used to be. Physical media, and I guess you could go with things constantly fucking leaking. All the time is something that I just feel has gotten worse about music. Because it's like, alright, after the Burials' new album comes out December 17th, a week before, oh, it leaked already. Like, alright, that killed my excitement for it because now everybody's talking about it. It's just, your excitement's killed because everything's fucking leaking. And then it, you know, it kind of, I wish that, to be completely honest with you, I wish that digital would go away. when it comes to music, because there's nothing more satisfying than looking over and being like, what do I want to listen to today? And you're looking at a big collection of CDs, and you're knowing that you're supporting the bands and not fucking ripping them off, so you can keep listening to great music they're putting out and stuff like that. I just feel that just sucks about music now. It's just how that stuff's dying, how things constantly leak, and yeah, I mean, to me, there's no pride in saying, I have 500 albums I downloaded off iTunes. Well, what do you have to look at in my eyes?
Yeah, what happens if your phone gets restarted or something?
What if your fucking hard drive gets fucked up? Then it's all gone, you know? What do you have to look at? You have the artwork on a computer screen and song names. You don't have something in your hand that you can pop in a CD player and go fucking drive in your car or something. And that just kind of, I think it's the thing that sucks about music as it's going now. I'm talking about all genres. Not just metal or whatever. It's all genres. It just sucks. And that's probably the thing that's gotten worse about music. It's just physical media and releases of music and stuff.
I mean, even slightly off topic, even with, like, you compare this to, like, games, I mean, I can see that eventually that's kind of where everything's going to go.
I feel games are different, though.
In a way, but then, like, I get that, especially with the whole leaking thing. It's like, when you know, we're gonna... I feel like streaming an album is probably, at least for what a lot of bands, when they do it, is, like, one of the worst things you can do. Especially if you have, like, a stream and it's almost like, I don't know, that it's easy to almost get stuff off of. Because, like, hey, we can stream the album, you know.
Well, now they're trying
to buy it.
They're trying to stream them all the time to kind of combat leaking. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But then it's like you're still not making any money off of it. And then people could be like, I'm just going to listen to the stream. Why
you
buy
might,
it?
because, you know, a website might be like, hey, I'll toss a little money your way if I can stream your album exclusively on my site so people come to my site, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll work. I really don't know how that works.
Like, at least I know with the Devil Wears Prada's album, it leaked, I think, and then the next day they sort of, I guess, decided to stream it, because it's kind of like that what the hell sort of factor, you know? We may as well put it on a website and see how many people listen to it, rather than somehow it's just out there, we don't know. We would rather people listen to it here to maybe divert from that, you know? It's some sort of fail-safe, but not entirely safe.
Or what was it earlier this year? I think it was Bring Me the Horizons album leaked somehow like a month ahead of time. So they pushed the release date up, because it's kind of like, you know, what the fuck?
Sometimes I just think that the leaking is kind of like almost done on purpose.
There's almost no point of a release date now.
Because you know everything.
Might as well, once you finish it, just put it the fuck out, because it's gonna leak ahead of the date that you set anyways.
Because that's just how things are. But like with like owning physical copies, I too like owning, you know, a lot of CD. I don't have, you know, as extensive a collection as you, but like the CDs that like I truly enjoy that like I have. You know, yeah, I have some stuff downloaded, but like if it's like something that's like timeless, you know, an album that is truly memorable. Like I bought Time One by Wintersun. That is an album that is timeless. Timeless. But I will, you know, probably have that album for years to come.
I mean, you take Time One. I just want to say one last thing. Is that album, you know, people were waiting 6 years for that to come out. 6, 7, 8 years, whatever. You were waiting a long fucking time. And I remember when that album came out, it's supposed to come out October 12th, 2012. And it leaked ahead of time. It's just like, yeah, you might be really excited to sit down and listen to it, but at the same time, it kind of kills you. Because it's like, you know, I was waiting for this day. I was going to wait. This was going to be a special day. And now it's not that special anymore because the album leaked ahead of time. Everybody knows
thing I want to say, that's off topic, but the perfect analogy of that is someone else opening your Christmas presents like 2 days before Christmas.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, you're like, okay, I have it and it's cool, but like, what the fuck am I supposed to open for Christmas?
Yeah.
It's nice holiday theme.
Yeah, I figure why not. The thing,
yeah, that's a good analogy.
I just want to say about this real quick. It's more of, you know, something I could go into as much another time, so I'll try to make it quick. The thing that I dislike most, that I think is getting worse with music, in my personal opinion, I know some people will say it may be a bit of a threadbare thing by now, but idolatry within music. I dislike how people can do almost whatever they want purely because of the legions of people that idolize them. And especially within metal, it bothers the hell out of me that bands now, like the Devil Wears Prada went into this like 2 years ago, you know, even before that with the album Dead Throne, and maybe they even thought and talked about it beforehand about idolatry being just stupid and pointless. And then not too long ago, the guy from Motionless in White, the singer dude, you know, made a post about it, wrote some stuff, and made some good points. But I thought the Devil Wears Prada really was saying that a long time before he did. Bands nowadays, at least within metal, they feel like they can just jump aboard any train they want that's popular just to sell things. And so you think like, oh, well, yeah, that's not the band that I like or something. You know, I like, you know, this, well, let's just call them the band. I like the band, but there's no way that they're like that. I mean, yeah, they sing about that, but there's no way they're like that. But don't be so, what's that word I'm looking for? Gullible. Don't be so gullible. Don't be so foolish. A lot of bands nowadays, the big trend now is to sing about hope, about, you know, the world isn't that bad, don't give up, or, you know, we're not going to take your crap, or whatever. You can read the lyrics and see how empty they are. There are bands like August Burns Red that I truly believe they are doing something good. You know, that's what they stand behind. But then there are bands out there, any given metalcore band on Warped Tour that's like, oh, don't give up, don't commit suicide. They don't believe that crap. Maybe they do. Maybe they think suicide's bad. I'm not questioning their integrity.
Money.
But how many shirts do you see that say "Don't give up hope" on the back, or you know, blah 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 blah, or whatever? They do it for the fans. They do it for the money. At least within metal, I feel like that is getting so much worse. And I'm not about to, you know, I'm not even going to sit here and say, you know, point out which bands they are. You just take a guess. You look at so many bands out there. You just take a big fat guess at which bands that sing about all this crap truly believe it. Yeah, they may act all friendly and crap, you know, but just really, just think about it. Look at all these bands, take a good look at them, and see if they really believe what they're saying, at least within metal, at least within sort of this realm of metal that I am, you know, I used to be fond of. I don't listen to a lot anymore. I didn't mean to go into this much detail about it, but idolatry within music is just, it's plain bullcrap. They're just people, and
No, I have two quick funny things
it's just
about that.
yeah.
So you're saying that they should take
Another
a good
look.
long look, take another
Yeah,
look at themselves. And two, it's kind of the flip side. I mean, I just like writing songs about killing people. So I mean, but
Well,
it's the opposite.
yeah, I mean, write what you like and stuff, but these bands that will, you know, purposely write all this crap.
I was saying it's the flip side of that.
Yeah.
I write songs like that, but then I'm a nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, idolatry, I just don't believe in it in general anymore, and I just don't think you should idolize anyone. You can find inspiration in other people's accomplishments or their faults, but don't idolize people. I see bands like Sleeping with Sirens. I'll toss out a couple of names here to throw in the shit. Sleeping with Sirens, Memphis Mayfire, any of these bands that come out here, oh yeah, you know, we're gonna sing about this and whatever. If you want some real shit, listen to any hardcore band out there. Not all of them, because half of them are bullshit anyway. But you listen to real bands out there that will tell it like it is. Bands, I'm talking about all the way back to punk, like Minor Threat, or bands now like Counterparts, or, you know, I'm just gonna throw them in there because I love the name of this band, but Fucked Up. That's a band. Look them up. Real bands that are out there, and, you know, will tell you the shit that you need to hear. Rage Against the Machine, you know, just, I'm sick of all these bands out there, you know, Don't Give Up Hope or whatever. However many fucking bands have the name Crown in their name, Capture the Crown, or
Crown the Empire.
yeah, whatever. Fuck them all. They write bullshit music that sounds uninspired to me, and, you know, I normally wouldn't get this pissed off, but I just can't stand it. That's what I hate about, you know, metal these days and times.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry
Good
to go
point.
way on about that. That could have
That's
been
a
another
good point.
video, but
That's a good
damn.
point.
We're going to cut that part out, and I'm going to talk about it in another video.
Or maybe.
Yeah, that's thoughts.
Yeah, in general, except for a couple areas like rock and all that stuff. I mean, music's either staying about the same. It's in general, in the whole scheme of things, music's about where it's been for a while now.
It kind of depends on taste.
Depends on taste, but I mean, like, just kind of like looking at the whole. It's all.
Mm-hmm. There's
I mean,
good things, there's bad things.
It's all subjective, and if you like listening to, you know, empty riffs, empty words, empty meaning, you know, go ahead, listen to whatever, but if you want to listen to some real shit, you know, you'll know where to go for it.
Yeah.
I'll be out back selling real shit.
I was about to make.
What was that one Tyler Creator song? Got some dope in the back and a hoe to the side.
Exactly.
Whatever that was. I got some real shit in the back, and
Sam's got the shit.
yeah.
Just contact
Don't
us.
do drugs.
Hit us up. Blaze it, man.
No.
Blaze it.